How's everyone doing? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Our Wednesday starts, the weekend starts today for Stacked After Hours. So, again, welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for grown folks conversation. So tonight's show, we are talking about relationship agendas and what agendas do we have, if we have them, or maybe we don't think we do have them and we really do, so on and so forth. So we're going to really kind of unpack that and get into that tonight. So y'all get ready, get your cocktails, keep those fingertips loose because we want to hear your questions and comments in the chat because y'all are part of the panel as well. So let's keep it lit and enlightening and let's get into it. Whew. So tonight we have new to the panel, our first Southern boy, truly Southern gentleman, and he will get your body right, Mr. Jamie Montan.
Mouton.
Mouton, look, I injected up. Mouton, thank you. Mouton, Mr. Jamie Mouton. Welcome, Jamie.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Returning to the show, she is an audience fave and family attorney at law, Dana Cosby. Hi. Hey, Dana. Hello. Also returning, he's the doctor of wit class, and he makes us smile. Miss Dr. Sylvester Foots.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hey. And finally, new to the show, she is a beauty and a boss, and she will get your child's mouth right. Dr. Tanisha Francis. Hello, Tanisha.
Hello.
Hey, all right, y'all. So let's get it started. So we have been doing this thing where people have been writing us about their lives. So we were going through our letters and we came across this letter talking about agendas and what we want in our relationship. So we're going to kind of start our show off tonight again with our letter from this anonymous lady in DC. And so go ahead, Andrea, read the letter.
Sure. Dear Sir, I'm a successful and beautiful woman who oversees a large nonprofit in DC. I have an impeccable reputation amongst my community, and that is how I would like to keep it. My girlfriends always come for me for advice on their dysfunctional relationships because they know I'm upfront and direct. That's why they ask me. Well, last week, those tables were turned on me. One of my friends recently moved here from Boston to DC to be with her boyfriend of 2 years. She was hoping that he would pop the question, but even though the pandemic is pretty much over, he still has not asked. She's always asking my opinion about that and if she made a mistake. And I let her know my real thoughts because that's what I do with my girls. But here's how the tables turn. She asked me, why are you still single? There are some cool brothers out there, but you are quick to dismiss them. Why is that? I told her, I don't have an agenda or angle like you. These men respect me and know I don't play that. She said, girl, bye. That is your agenda, appearing to be perfect and having it all together, hoping they will pick you. Your whole being perfect act is tired. Men are looking for someone transparent, open, and fun, not perfect. Well, that came from nowhere, it seems, and I was truly taken aback. I have not spoken to her since. She has reached out via text, but I haven't responded. I'll wait for her apology like she's waiting for her marriage proposal. Neither seems like they're coming. Now that some time has passed, I'm thinking about what she said. Could she be right about me? Is my being perfect an act or part of an agenda? Please help me figure this out.
Ooh, wow. Okay. thoughts. And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna have our new people go first. So, what do y'all think? I mean, okay, what do y'all think? Tanisha, I'm gonna start with you, babe.
Oh, wow. I think the letter was quite interesting. Was the letter just saying that she presents herself as being perfect, and that's what her agenda is, and she's not being transparent with men?
Right. She's not right. Like, she has everything together. There's
right. Right. So, what I do think is that I do believe that there probably are some people, not all, of course, that probably do present themselves as that way, because I feel like whenever we do have an agenda, or when people do have an agenda, automatically we put up barriers, and it doesn't allow room for creativity, and we don't allow room for growth when people have an agenda. You know, it's just like when you have a meeting, you have an agenda and we're sticking to the plan. So you don't allow room for anything to kind of deviate, because you automatically have boundaries. So that may be that there could be some truth to that. And you don't allow for transparency because you're sticking to your agenda. This is what you want people to see. And you know, you don't allow your real light to come through.
I like that.
I like that. I do. Yep. Jamie, what'd you think?
Well, the thing about transparency is the pandemic. If you were in a relationship, it pretty much showed you exactly what you had, because you were limited to go certain places, and you really got to know the person that you were with to a point to where you could really decide whether or not this is somebody that you could spend the rest of your life with. Now, as far as her friend putting on the front, or what she perceives as a front, one thing about men is I can spend a dinner date with you and find out just how real you are. I mean, it doesn't take long. I mean, I don't care how you present yourself. If you are dating like a mature adult, you can kind of like sift through things and figure out things as you go along through life experiences.
Natalie's mood. Being perfect, that whole perfect persona. Like, I think the transparency and how that reads in dating, acting like you have it all together, that you don't have any flaws. Is it agenda that it's funny. I actually see it a lot with people, especially women, but I see it a lot with people, that whole I can't have anything out of place, hoping that they'll just see that I'm exquisite. Is it something in their mind, or Dana?
It was interesting. I don't think agenda is a bad word or pejorative. Okay. In fact, I mean, obviously, I'm not one who likes meetings, and so I probably won't go to a meeting if there's no agenda, just because I'm worried about producing, getting things done, staying on task. So there's a reason why we have agendas. I do agree you have to allow for some flexibility, because you will miss out. You need to have that. But I also think time on task. So I was I'm an agenda person, probably more so in my personal life than I am in my professional life, because there was so many things I wanted to accomplish. So when you're thinking that way, I don't think everyone's wired that way. I don't think there's very different type A, type B, type people. But I was definitely had these ideas of having it all, being married, having kids, having a career, being there for my community. Like, I had all these things I was trying to accomplish. So I figured I better have a plan, just so you can get all these things done. And that was just probably the approach of the people, my parents and the people around me. That's how you get stuff done.
Right. So Dana, I have one question though, because I do it before we get into just in thinking about the letter, could you identify with what was being said?
Well, I felt like it was weird because seems like you would have different agendas for what you're trying to accomplish. So if your agenda is to get a man, okay, there's a certain agenda, plan you would have for that. And if you're trying to be respected by your friends or your community, there's an agenda for that. Like, it seems like I've not been told that by my guy friends, that what makes you good at work may not make you good in relationships. Those aren't necessarily the same skill sets and things. And I know that those things that make me good as a parent were not the same skills that made me good at work and made me good in relationships. And so, or as in playing sports, I was a jock. Okay. Those things, there's some overlap, but I think if you try to approach each of these different things with the same set of skills and the same agenda, I find that a little problematic. I think that may be risky.
Okay, so I want to pause because I do before we jump into our us unpacking our own stuff. I think this is a commonality for a lot of Black folks, especially when we have been successful and we're kind of trying to make sure that appearances are what they seem, like Tanisha said earlier. Sylvester, I know you're shaking your head.
Yeah. I beg to differ with the panel. I don't think this young lady has a hidden agenda. I don't think she has an agenda. I think this young lady is portraying a role, and what she's going through is an image that she's creating. And she's trying to attract what is her perception of idealism. Whereas the individual that moved from Boston actually does have an agenda, because she moved from Boston to DC because she wants to marry this man. Does this man know that he is supposed to be marrying her?
Great question.
Well,
yeah.
And so there are two big differences. And it's sad to know that such a beautiful friendship went Ray because of it. But one is definitely a concept of image, and the other one is definitely a hidden agenda.
but could image be part of your agenda? To be perfect? To appear like everything is together when you could be falling apart?
But if that's your hidden agenda, then what is it that you truly want? What do you want from the other person that you're seeking?
Because I think sometimes with this whole perception of perfection, it comes with a spouse that is equally perfect and perhaps even more to enhance whoever it is you believe that you should be with.
So your agenda is seeking enhancement to elevate your status to a high
equality,
level.
or equality in that whole perfection.
But because you have that image does not mean that you have a hidden agenda. You probably just want to attract someone that can actually elevate you higher.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
So immediately, I don't know why my mind is taking me to the whole Beyonce Jay-Z thing. Because for me, Beyonce comes across as this whole I'm perfect, person. And in our minds, when she started to, in a lot of people's mind, when she started to date Jay-Z, it was a whole, is he good enough for her? Until he became as powerful as he is now. So for some reason, that whole letter just reminded me of her and him, and this whole, I want to attract someone equally as perfect as I am. Because if you think about it, I think Beyonce comes across as, oh my God, the beehive is going to kill me. But she does come across that as this perfect person that does nothing wrong.
But Auntie, so did Whitney Houston.
Mm.
She
Well,
did, but that
So
was
did Whitney
exposed based
Houston.
on. Yep, yep.
I
Tanisha, you put
mean,
your finger up before
the
we.
greatest love of all was total perfection.
Well, because you guys are saying that they want to attract someone who will make them powerful, or but sometimes I think some women are just looking to have that facade so that way they can have someone who's going to cater to them,
Yep.
and put them on a pedestal. And sometimes, to me, it could also be a self-esteem issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole image thing is low self-esteem. If
Mhm.
you have to put yourself up there to think so
Right.
much, so highly of yourself, and that what the others out in the general public thinks of you,
Right.
you're missing living a life.
Right.
amen.
Exactly.
Amen.
And I
Exactly.
think that's when I
I
think
hear
in the
ya.
letter, her friend said men are looking for somebody who's basically authentic, that they
Right.
can relax from. And you know, as Jamie said, we were all, I think the pandemic like totally exposed if you were with someone, it exposed certain things, or even if you were by yourself, it exposed certain things within that we just been like, oh, because we've been able to move a certain way. But when you sit with yourself or you sit with a partner and you're like,
You give it,
like,
you
oh,
give
my
him
agenda was this with this person, and
when you give them that side eye in the bed with you, and you're like, wait a second, what the hell?
Mhm.
That's
so go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I mean, I think, you're looking at two things in regards to this whole situation. First of all, the agenda clearly is from the girl that moved to a different city expecting to be married. I
Right.
Mhm.
don't think we can really deal with the other girl other than it maybe being a messed up situation. But at the end of the day, you know, can you spend 6 hours with a person with minimum distractions? That's the measuring stick that I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to be able to have a connection with someone that you can spend a lot of time with and not get tired of that person because, for whatever reason, there are a lot of distractions out there with social media. And the ideal situation is to meet somebody that you have a connection with, that you have everything that you need at home.
So in following up with what Jamie just said, before you can get to that place, but does every relationship, do y'all not go into every relationship with some sort of agenda, even if it's just to get ass? I mean,
Well, men naturally are not going to be with a woman without the agenda of having sex. I don't. I think that's first and foremost. I think a man sees a woman, and in his mind, immediately he doesn't have the foresight that women have. Women build a big picture in their head about forever. Um, Men build a picture about the physicality of a woman first, and what she brings to the table after that is all a bonus.
well, I
Um,
think that's a generalization, though.
well, I'm speaking as a man. And you're right. I mean, I'm just telling you what.
Renee is in the group. She said naturally,
Like
um,
biologically, are you saying?
naturally.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should limit it to just men. We are all human beings, regardless of the sex. So everyone comes into a relationship or any form of entanglement with some form of expectation.
Yeah.
Entanglement. Love it.
Okay.
So Leslie, you saying
I,
they got motives?
yeah.
There were
I just
motives. Okay.
I'm going to just share something. 30 minutes tops, but um,
Seconds.
I remembered
30
once.
seconds tops, you mean? Because
Yeah, I remembered once that I was going through some real hardship at work, And I was expressing to my executive coach that, I'm constantly being used. And there was something that she said to me that was so profound. And ever since then, I have changed my whole mentality towards the whole concept of being used. And that is, she said to me, if you can't be used, then you are useless. And I just want everybody to think about that for a minute.
Okay. All right.
Profound indeed.
Ranchers Nation said facts.
Yeah.
Tanisha, you had your hand up, and then Dana. Go ahead.
I know. I was going to say that when he was saying that everybody has an agenda, I know when I was talking to one of our friends recently, I was talking about not so much about an agenda, but going into relationships with purpose and intention. I think we was talking about that last time I was on the show.
Yes.
Moving with purpose and intentions. And I just think there's a difference between purpose and intentions versus an agenda. Yes.
What do you
I
think?
don't believe
What do you
that.
think the difference is, Tanisha?
Well, I think with purpose and intention, like when I go into a relationship, I may have a purpose and intention, but I'm also considering the other person's purpose and intentions, and we're going to talk about it and make sure we're on the same page. Whereas with an agenda, I have an agenda. This is what I want to do. You got to get in where you fit in. I'm not really considering what you're saying, and we're sticking to the agenda, and I'm moving this way, and I'm pulling you along, and this is what it is.
Whether
and this is the agenda.
You can't pull a man along though.
Right, but depending on what kind of man you got and what tools we're
Well,
using.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're not going to be able to pull a real. You may pull an agreeable man along who will allow you to do that, but it's going to have to be a situation where it's a mutual appreciation for the task at hand, I think.
Right. Right.
But also intentions are known, right?
Yes.
And agendas are always hidden.
Are they though?
Yeah, are they?
Because are all
great point.
Are they really always hidden? Dana, you shaking your head no. Go ahead.
Well, I thought that's why we call them hidden agendas, because it's not inherently hidden. So you have to put hidden in front of it. So that's that point. So I was always like, agenda is basically coming in saying, this is what I'm trying to accomplish at this time. Some people move that way, some people don't.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me, I heard a pastor talk about you have to have your purpose separately as a person, whether it's spiritual, what's guiding you, and then you go find the person that you're supposed to be with, because you don't want to have someone as important as someone you're living your life with being counter to or against your purpose. So he recommended that you establish, because it gets very difficult when you meet the person, you get attached, you get married, and then you find your purpose, and the person they don't mix, they're counter to it. It creates a real big conflict in your life. And so I thought that was interesting that they said, get your purpose first, so that everything that comes after that falls into place. It's easier for you and you don't have as much conflict in your life, and you can stay on purpose and everything's not working against your purpose. So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, okay, are we getting everybody to focus on finding their purpose before they find their person?
Yeah, but what's purpose? Give me an example of purpose.
Well, I think generally speaking, some people know what they want to do and be, how they want to serve, what their gifts are, how they want to contribute, so it's really a real understanding of yourself as a person, aligning it with your talents and your desires and saying, this is how I'm going to contribute to the world. This is what I'm going to bring. These are my gifts. I think that's wonderful when you get a chance to focus on that. But he said you need to get there in it first because you'll see a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of relationships end because somebody found their purpose after they found the person. So it can be a very painful thing.
Exactly. So I think one of the things is so what happens is when a lot of people taking purpose out of it, because that could be a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But a lot of people they have these motives in relationships. They have an agenda. They have things. and I don't necessarily know if agendas are good or bad. I think again, like Dana said, they're hidden. But I think the question is just like, how do we even get to a point where we start to form these agendas? And Dana, I think you hit it on with talking about purpose, but thinking about the times that you had an agenda or you experienced somebody with an agenda, what happened?
I think it depends on where people are in their lives and what people have experienced. And then they go into these relationships. And then if you're watching how the person you're dating is moving and what they're saying, then sometimes you can see what their agenda is.
Yes.
But also, it's very cultural too. Think of this for a moment. We call each other our significant other. Do you know what we're really saying when we say significant other? It's really sign if I can't. That's the purpose of that person you're with.
Natalie's like, what?
That's
I'm slow.
I know.
What? I'm slow.
Significant.
How it's spelled. How it's
Significant.
spelled.
Sign if I can't.
Oh,
Yeah.
sign
That
if
person
I
you're
can.
with, that significant other,
That's
is
true.
your booster. If you can't make it, that person ought to make it so you can.
Yep.
I
So
think
compliment to who you are.
Correct.
Got it. Go ahead, Jamie. You were saying.
I think agenda is a bad word.
Mm.
I truly do. I think
You talk about in terms of relationships.
I'm talking about in relationships. If I meet you and it's not a situation where I feel like I found you, and you, and in all fairness, women have to allow men to feel like they found them. It can't be a situation where if I meet you and you already have an agenda and you're just going to plug me into that situation and hopefully everything will go, as you planned.
But if it's hidden, Jamie, you're not gonna know.
Well, I think some men are smarter than you think. So
Jamie, give us an example of where you experienced an agenda.
well, the whole idea is the whole marriage situation. A lot of times, and I wouldn't say in my life, I have a penchant for meeting really quality wifey type women, and they don't always come out and say exactly what they're looking for until you can read it and you can talk about it as a couple. But at the end of the day, these type of women want to get married. So I'll tell you, I'll just be very transparent with you. A man has two agendas, and one is contingent on the other. Okay. First agenda is to be physical with you. And everything that he does in that situation is hopefully to get closer to you and experiencing some form of intimacy with you. If the intimacy and everything else checks off and he feels like he can be at peace with himself, with you, and you bring all of these superlatives together, then yes, marriage could be a prospect at that point. But to bring me into a situation and say, and to, in your mind, have a hidden agenda for me and expect for me not to figure out what it is you're doing, it becomes all an act at that point. I feel like everything that you've said and done up until that point has been like a chess move for you.
So, Jamie, you don't ask her and be like, "What do you want?" Y'all not ask them like, "What do you want?" Right? When you feel somebody has a hidden, do you just ask directly?
Yeah. I mean, at some point you ask, but what I'm trying to convey is that at some point you feel hoodwinked and thinking that you're part of a plan that wasn't communicated in the very beginning. That's my experience with hidden agendas. I think it's a bad word. I think it's much more feasible for two people to get together, even if it's a star-crossed situation where you just run into each other and then you figure it out from that point. But as far as me running into you and you having a purpose or an agenda and me fitting into that situation, I think that's a crap shot, personally.
Okay.
So can I ask a question? You know, sometimes we go out and we do have agendas when we go out, right? We're like, okay, I'm going to
Let's hear
put on the tight dress so that I can get noticed, or I'm going to put on the gray sweats so that I can, you know, get noticed, you know, my bulge, whatever it is I'm trying to do, because I have this agenda that I want to meet. Is it an agenda when you go out and say, I want to meet somebody, I want to hook up, I want to meet somebody, I hope I meet my guy or my girl tonight, and this is what I'm going to do in order to meet them?
You're asking me that?
Anybody, actually.
Anybody?
I'll let
Is that an
everybody else
agenda?
answer. I don't want to.
Yes. Is that an agenda or a purpose?
Or am I just being fly going out tonight?
Right. True.
I'm going to call myself just being fly going out tonight. I mean, why is that an agenda? Or I'm not going to call it a purpose, because I may not necessarily want you to talk to me. I just want to look good. It doesn't necessarily mean I want you to come up to me. I just want to feel good and look good, and I want my girls to look good, and we're going to have some drinks. But it doesn't mean come up and talk to me now.
See.
I'm just saying, sometimes, I mean, come on, girls. Sometimes we all been out and we just want to feel good, look good, take our pictures. But does it always mean that you want somebody following at you? It doesn't always mean that.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, if that's the case, then why don't you go to places where there are women?
Sometimes I am at places where there's a woman. There's not always men there. And
Okay.
sometimes the brother do come in. I mean, but I'm just saying, sometimes I'm with a pack of girls.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, my thing is, if you wear a certain type of situation, if you have a certain type of physique,
I love Jamie, I swear.
and you have a certain type of figure, and you wear a certain type of clothes, you know what you look like in the mirror before you leave.
Okay.
Trying to tell me and any other man that you're here for your girls and you want to look good, don't approach me.
He ain't buying that.
Ronay said the same thing.
I mean, but you know, I mean, hold up. Let me
and
just say
Jamie Sherilyn also agrees with you 100%.
I mean, let me just say this. I mean, because the clothes, okay, now let me just say this. The clothes that people wear today are a little bit subjective, because, you know, you got people that are wearing everything out. So, I mean, I am a woman that is of a certain, I mean, I'm not wearing, you know, so when I say wear something that looks nice and still be classy with it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying like you're wearing like Meg Thee Stallion clothes, if you understand what I mean. So I'm just going to say still look nice, still look sexy, but still look classy at the same time. So I'm just going to leave it there, because sometimes the clothes that our people or people in society today are wearing can be very far right and very far left. So but you know.
But Tanisha, I have a question though.
Yes.
Like I'm like outside of going to like organizational functions or whatever, right? Outside of all of those things, when we go out, like if we go, like I'm going to a party this weekend, right? So it's like now Clint, I'm with someone, but I'm just like, okay, wear something that is sexy, blah, 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 wear heels, blah, 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 blah. Or not even heels, but you want to get at least a compliment, especially if it's going to be a certain caliber of person that you are going to see and you're single. I think we try to tell ourselves, I'm just dressing for me.
Now, can we be honest? I have a time. Let's be honest, women. When we're dressing, honestly, I feel like if we just really be honest, are we really dressing for women? We dressing for men, because men don't know that they're Milano Blancs.
And no, they don't. But if it's a snug fitting dress and it's hitting every curve, and I'm not saying we're dressing like Meg Thee Stallion, but you keeping it classy. Tanisha, I've seen you. Your clothes are beautiful, and you got a shape, and you know what I'm saying. But we keep it classy and tight. It's gonna draw attention of a certain type of gentleman.
Right. True.
right?
Yes.
But we want that when we do that,
Exactly.
right? I mean, let's keep it real.
I mean, I'm
Let's keep
not
it 100. Like, we want
I
the
guess
attention.
I don't understand what the problem, like,
I
aren't
mean,
we supposed to be out here buzzing around each other?
I
meeting
agree.
each other,
I'm okay
like,
with the buzz. I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm just saying that I dress more for myself. Like, I dress to look good because I want to look good. And if
but you
he
don't want
haven't
to be
tuned to it,
approached.
I'm not
So,
against being approached. Don't get me
oh,
wrong,
okay.
anybody. You know what I'm saying? But like when you get dressed, do we really get dressed because we're dressing for him? Or do we get dressed for ourselves?
Or both.
Or are we saying, based upon your attire, that it depends on your agenda?
Thank you, Sylvester.
Yes.
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 See, right. You saying the agenda. I feel some women just get dressed all the time, no matter who's there.
They do.
Right.
They do.
So
They do. And you do. Tanisha is consistent.
Tanisha cute.
Chris Jones. Hello, Chris Jones. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So okay. So Jamie did bring up a good point. So did Tanisha. So my question is again going back to those, because I think that's a little bit of it's not a hidden agenda. It's very out in the front. Like, I want to be noticed. If I'm no matter who, I want to be noticed by somebody. So I'm gonna dress. I'm dressing for me, but I'm also dressing for whatever. Tanisha's dressed right now. Yes, she is, Tracy.
Natalie, can I read one comment
Yes.
or two?
You can read a
So
couple. Go ahead.
it's actually from Bernie Brooks. And she said, women are made to be women, and men, whether she's sexually dressed or not, will be drawn to her because he is physically stimulated, and that is on him.
Valid.
Thoughts?
I guess I don't understand the distrust. There's a lot of, like, the idea of the whole conversation of agenda is the concern about what people are up to and what they're thinking and what they're trying to accomplish. So if you start from that thinking about people, if you start thinking people have hidden agendas, or do you start out thinking people, for most people, are doing what you're doing? You think positively. Like, doesn't it matter how you're thinking when you approach people? Like, are you thinking positively about people? Are you thinking negatively? Are you distrustful, or are you open? Because I think the conversation is starting, if agenda is negative and we're
Right.
starting the conversation that way, or are we saying only a few people have agendas? Most of us are out here just enjoying ourselves, dressing to feel good, hoping we'll meet somebody, but maybe not, is that, or are we worried about the agendas? Is this something we need to worry about? I guess is what I'm saying. Is this something that we need to be worried about?
I don't think so. I feel like I myself just move with dressing for myself, and when I meet anybody, it's like I have purpose and intentions, and I normally let my purpose and intentions be known, whatever, at whatever point, whatever.
But Tanisha, can I ask you, when you're
Yes.
dressing for yourself, don't someplace in your mind say, "Ooh, girl, I look hot."
It's on tonight.
I mean,
Come on now, Tanisha.
okay. It depending on where I'm going. Like, it depends on how I'm feeling that day. It just no. I'm not going to tell you no, because it all depends on what's going on, where I'm going, and what's happening. It just really depends. But like some of us, we just enjoy like fashion and clothes. Like I can be sitting home by myself and put on something fly.
Tanisha,
It just depends.
You are very consistent.
Thank you.
You are very
You're
intentional
always
with your
beautiful,
gear.
Tanisha.
You are. Go ahead. Yes. But Dana, I agree. I don't think agendas are always bad.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. I mean, I think some people state there, it's like I like Jamie. The one thing I think when it's hidden, yes, it is bad. But when you state like what somebody asked, like, what are you looking for? What is your we say purpose, but
what's your intention?
Part of some of that is like when you know who you are, where you are been, or okay, this is what I want. At this point, everybody is either approaching 50, at 50, or past 50. Do y'all, when you are looking for a relationship, do you not have a checklist? Not necessarily a checklist, but kind of have like, these are the things, personality types, whatever I really want to deal with.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I go just a tad backwards?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
I want to address Tanisha.
Yes,
Is it Kanisha or Tanisha?
Tanisha.
Yes, Jay.
Tanisha. Okay. So when Tanisha says that she dresses for herself, and let's keep it real, it's guys and girls she do it for. Here's the real situation. Situation is Tanisha is dressing for herself, and more times than not, she's gonna post something about it. So now before you cut me off, let me just finish. And here's what men are dealing with. So if I were to go out and if I were to meet someone like Tanisha, and I get in a situation where I feel like she's fly, she's beautiful, she's fine, but her eyes are never quite on me. They're always looking around and seeing who's looking at her and taking pictures. Then what happens? What happens at that moment? And I'm trying to give you guys the real deal here.
Jamie, we want to hear it.
What men do at that point is they go from wanting to know you to wanting to solve you. And if solving you, if you're an algebraic expression or something to a point where you're too difficult and all he knows is math multiplication, then he may abort the mission. But if he is if he is into calculus and your algebraic expression, he's gonna eventually solve you. And solving you means sleeping with you. And then at some point, because you got to be accountable for your situation. If you want the attention of males in mass, then you're gonna
Wow.
Jamie.
You're gonna meet men in mass. That's just. But what their intention is with you and what their purpose is at that point is to solve you until you prove otherwise.
Yeah, so Jamie, I just want a little caveat. You just turned Anthea on because you mentioned the word math and algebraic equations. But we're gonna come back to Tanisha. What do you think about what he said?
I mean, I hear what he's saying, but I'm just listening.
Okay.
When he said, I mean, he lost me at posting because anybody knows me knows I don't even post. So I mean, you know, I hear what he's saying, but I mean, I just hear what he's saying.
Listen, you know what that means? That's a drop mic moment. Go ahead, Jamie. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what he's saying. It doesn't apply to me.
I have a question for Jamie. So, do men have this pressure to get married or have kids? Oh, we lost him.
No, we just lost him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, I know a lot of my friends, a lot of women have that as a goal, is to be married, to have kids, to have careers. They got a lot of goals, right. that they're trying to accomplish.
Well, I want to, but can we ask Sylvester that question?
Do men have those lists
pressures?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we want kids, and majority of us want kids by a set time frame.
Yeah, like we do. Okay.
Nobody wants to be in their 60s and going in no damn roller coaster rides.
Yes. Okay. So you got a time limit too. Okay.
Yeah. We want
and the
families.
baby look old. Them old
we want families. I know. We want families. We want a white picket fence as well. We want what's the best in life, not just for ourselves, but also for the person who means the world to us.
So does that play into so when you're making decisions, so like is that part of if we don't want to use the agenda, but if that's a goal, is that long-term goal, you see yourself wanting that, some form or version. And Jamie, that was for you too, is that a lot of the women that I know have this list of goals that they have, things that they would love to accomplish. It's on their want list or their wish list. Do men, other than solving women and sleeping with them, do most of the men that do they have the list too? Do they have this goals that they're going to want to get to at some point in their lives?
The goal is simple. The goal is meeting someone who has similar background, similar thought processes, beliefs. That's the starting point, so that you feel like you can be compatible with one another. Chemistry is another situation. Connection is altogether different. So if you can complete all of those, check all of those boxes, then I think you got grounds for a great relationship. But as far as goals, absolutely. I mean, you can meet someone in a time in their life where they feel like they're settled. You're settled. And if you communicate that as a driving point, I think anything can happen.
Okay. Could I?
But it's not. I'm sorry, but it's not specific. Like, you didn't say marriage, you didn't say kids, you didn't say, like, do most of the guys have very specific things that they, not just meeting someone you're compatible with, but marrying that person or making a commitment or building together? Like, do they? Because I have friends, women, who have very specific things they want to accomplish. Do guys have very specific things too?
Or they just freestyle?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think men are more pragmatic than you think. I think at the end of the day, you get to a certain age, you just want things to be
around. Yeah.
pretty predictable.
Okay.
You don't want a whole lot of surprises. You want to come home to someone who you feel like is very good at protecting your peace, and you doing the same thing for her.
Okay.
So this whole protecting peace.
Could I ask a question? Much like the letter of the person that wrote in, most of the individuals on this panel tonight are quite accomplished individuals. Whenever meeting your significant other or someone that could potentially be, or someone who wants to be your significant other, do you look at yourself as how this person looked at herself in the letter, saying, this is what I do, this is what I've accomplished, I'm pretty much it, who are you to come try to talk to me because you don't fit into my, not agenda, but my thought process of what is perfect for me?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And sometimes you may have one thing in your head that you think you truly want, and you meet someone who is the total opposite, and that opposite is a true blessing.
Yeah.
So, no, you've got to be open to what life bestows upon you.
And so would you say the people that are not accepting what they believe or who they believe is perfect for them are the ones with the agenda?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What has been you guys' experiences with people who have had agendas with you? Like, because I think sometimes we end up, or even if you had an agenda, I know Dana, I'm gonna start with Dana because I know you have. I want to ask you especially because I think you've been the person who has been married before and divorced, and so
divorced
and married twice.
And married
twice.
Yeah.
Dang,
Jamie.
No, listen. She seems so.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean, she seems so well put together. I'm like,
she is.
That's her point. That's the point.
Like
is being, so I would tell people all the time, I'm very good at what I'm good at because I've put the training and experience in. So it's kind of obvious what you're good at. And I agree with you, Jamie. You're like, it's probably not that though. That
Right.
part of your life, I don't know if I've had as much training, if I've been as serious. I'm honest about, I've learned so much about myself as I got older and mistakes that I was making.
Yeah.
That
So
I share
can
with others. You know,
can I-
I've made a
can I
lot of
ask you a question?
mistakes.
May I ask you a question, please? First of all, let me apologize because I know that kind of sounded a little funky how it came across, but I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, okay.
What I meant was you seem so settled in your spirit that's super, super, super attractive for men. But here's what I want to ask, and I think we're missing a big part of this situation, being that we're at a certain age. I think a lot of it is women past the age of 40 have kids, and they have, if they've been divorced, they have managed their households very effectively alone. Okay. The big question is, how do you allow a man to come into your space and to operate in a masculine, protective sense? And how do you allow that relationship to truly flourish when you've been so good at doing things on your own? That's a big factor, I think.
So Jamie, I think she is still married. She remarried.
Oh, thank God.
But let her finish her thought, Jamie.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're making a lot of assumptions. Just let
I'm
her
so
finish her
sorry.
thought.
And a
Go
lot
ahead.
of us are over 40 and have no kids. So
There are a lot of us who don't have
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I feel like Jamie's responding to the image. Okay. So you might need to spend 6 hours with me, Jamie, to get the full story. But you're responding to the image.
Okay.
Which when you do what I do, image is very important. So for some professions, you got to worry about that. So that's not always very indicative of what the person is like personally. Okay.
Right.
You got to get to know me personally. But I think what Natalie's saying, I do think that even when marriage is the goal, okay, so for a lot of people, marriage is the goal. You're not done yet. It's like the goal, you get to the wedding, and then there's still all this stuff you still got to figure out. Like, it's like people, it's like the movie ends when they get married, when really that's when it should begin.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to find the right person is one thing, and trying to make that relationship work is one thing. Trying to make that relationship last. I think we talked about that last program. We grow, we get older, we change, and how to figure out how to stay together as you change. There's so much involved. So that's what I'm saying. You know, you never can relax. You never can say, like you said, I think I have worked on my piece, Jamie. If you had met me when I was younger, okay, like I'm trying to make this easier for myself and whoever decides they want to deal with me. It's hard enough. So there are things that I was pointy. Some people are smooth and easy to deal with. Some people are pointy and difficult. And so I have tried to be more easy, more open. And these are things that I was not raised to be. I think the women that I come from are strong women. They are, yeah, they dress sexy, so they balance it. Like they look appealing, but their personalities are not always that easy.
What does strong women mean? What does that mean?
You know, they bossy. They're authoritative, right? They're used to being in charge, but they're used to being married. So there's usually a division of duties. So like I grew up in a household where dad was responsible for this, mom was responsible for that. So there was a sense where, you know, men got to be in charge too. There was a negotiation, but women were allowed to be strong. They were allowed to be capable. I think that's the history of Black women. We were able to be these things, but you still had to be feminine somehow. You had to figure out how to be feminine just so you could make the situation work. So I was just saying, society doesn't always encourage women. Things have changed, and so we got to be honest about that I wasn't always encouraged to be the way what guys say they like. That was not what we were told to be like.
Right.
And then so you guys are dealing with women who are being strong and independent and do things for themselves. And you guys would like to have someone who can follow, you
That's
know,
true.
who can accept
That's true.
leadership. And we're over here
Yeah.
being trained to be leaders. And so I do think it's been difficult. I can say in my lifetime, with the opportunities that women have, it's been difficult to navigate that and your relationships.
That's a whole
Well,
nother show.
So I do want to. So I want to, because we have one more. We literally, Lord, we only scratched the surface on this.
Yeah.
I do want to just kind of give everybody about a 15. Just my final question is, and not even, I don't want to call it agendas, but when have you in your lifetime shelved, I'm going to say not your agenda, but your wants or the things that you wanted immediately for the greater good of the relationship? Y'all have to answer quickly. Dana, you shaking your head, so I'm going to let you begin.
I'll go ahead. I had to learn how to follow. I had to learn how to be willing to let someone else make decisions. It actually felt good in some ways because I realized the pressure and the stress of being the person who makes decisions. So there was a benefit to that. But I had to learn. I became a better business partner when I became that way, a better coworker, family member. Like, you don't always have to be in charge. You don't always have to be the one who makes all the decisions. That improved, even with my adult children, it improved all of my relationships when I learned how to not always have to be the lead, how to be submissive. That was a bad word, apparently. And you sometimes you gotta be able to play different roles. So I had to learn to step back. And so that improved all of my relationships.
All right. Sylvester. You can say you have it. It's fine.
You have to learn a lot about yourself, and you've got to be very honest and have self-awareness and take accountability and realize, okay, who really fucked up here? Was it me or was it the other individual?
That's right.
And if you did, how do you humble yourself? And if it's really worth anything to you, you better go and make amends, because life is very short and comebacks ain't that easy. Once people go, they do go.
Yeah. Tanisha.
I would say I put my own stuff on the shelf, within one of my relationships, and that's when I learned more about emotional intelligence and becoming more self-aware, and just becoming also understanding empathy, actually.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Jamie, I'm gonna let you take us out.
That I failed every relationship I've been in, and that I've met some wonderful women in my life, and I've let them down, and that in order for me to progress, I need to be more mindful of what Dana was talking about in terms of purpose, especially individually with that person. What is my purpose with you? What do I want from you? That's not me just selling wolf cookies. I'm being serious about this, because most of the trauma that Black women experience in life comes from Black men, and a lot of those are relationships. So until you take a hard look at yourself and say, "Hey, it's me," that's the start that you need.
Anthea, do you want to share?
Yeah, I have to say that I'm a little bit of the opposite of what Dana had to go through. So Dana had to learn how to step back. I had to learn how to step up.
Yeah.
And be the leader. Okay. When I didn't want that. I want to be the beta at home. And I, in my previous I guess, marriage, I felt like I had to step up to be the alpha.
Yeah. I agree. I'm a little bit like Dana, maybe because we have the same DNA. Letting go, like chilling, like literally just relaxing myself into allowing to myself to be a beta, to understand that, you know what, Natalie, let these roles, this is what you've been raised in, but it can show up in a way where it's collectively for everyone. But just chill, like really just be submissive, allow people to be who they are so it can flourish and you can be who you are. And you may learn something about yourself. I learned something about my relationships and something about myself because it's totally a reflection of how you treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going into the after party. This shit is going to be lit. Every last one of these people are going to be in the after party. It's going to be hosted by Anthea and Keith. We are going to continue the conversation in the Zoom. If you don't have the link, join our Facebook group. If you don't, but also Quiet Storm, I think, has put it in the chat. We will see you guys soon. Ja Logic, take us out. See you. Was I on mute?
da dee, da da do, da da dee, da da do, ba da bee, ba da ba, do, da da dee, da da do, da da dee.